Welcome to Overtime on Inferno, your weekly round of all the big stories in CSGO, quicker than I can lose my co-host. A quick reminder to rate and review us at the end of the episode. It really helps us. I'm Logan Rahab. AZS is in Antwerp for the major, as is everyone I would normally record a podcast with. So today we are doing a quick 10-minute fill podcast to make sure that you guys have all the information you need going into the major playoffs. So, major playoffs. We had the end of the Legend stage finish up. We had 8 teams come out of that. Those teams will be Nip and FaZe, who are playing right now as I record this on Thursday morning at 11 a.m. We have Spirit versus Furia, ENCE versus Copenhagen Flames, and Na'Vi versus Heroic. This sets up a really interesting bracket. Nip and FaZe play theoretically. If things go to plan, FaZe should win that game. Spirit Furia is actually a really, really cool game because Spirit has been looking really, really good recently. Fury they've been looking okay. They've been looking better. They got to the playoffs, in fact. But I feel like that's going to be a very interesting game to watch. Chopper, obviously one of AZS's favorite players, because of his art levels of instability against art with arts and art levels of instability. So theoretically, out of that top half of the bracket there, we should see a FaZe versus Spirit or Furia. If I was a betting man, I'd say FaZe versus Spirit, but you leave that up to your own decision if that makes sense. On the other side of the bracket, it's ENCE versus Copenhagen Flames, who that will be an actually really cool matchup. Copenhagen Flames look like they are in form right now. ENCE have looked really good this entire tournament. That'll be a really good matchup. And then Na'Vi Heroic, so one of the best group stage teams we've ever seen with Heroic, because they're only good in a group stage. In the playoffs now, and they have to take on the Giants that are Na'Vi right there at the beginning, which is rough. So expect to see a Na'Vi win on that series. If I had to guess, I'd say probably an ENCE win on the other series. Maybe it's with a semifinal of FaZe Spirit and ENCE Na'Vi. From there, honestly, I couldn't tell you what's going to happen. FaZe Spirit, FaZe should win, but like Spirits looked really good. If it's FaZe Furia, FaZe should win, but FaZe Spirit Furious looks really good. Other side of the bracket, ENCE Na'Vi. It would take a lot from me right now to believe that ENCE will win against Na'Vi. Like, I know there's a lot going on the line here, and there's a lot of like Na'Vi just seem like they are a considerably better team than ENCE, regardless of how well ENCE has been doing recently. So if I had to put money on that, that would be a Na'Vi win, leading to a FaZe Na'Vi final, which, if we looked at our bingo cards a couple weeks ago when we walked into this, we'd probably say we wanted a FaZe Na'Vi final. And I think that's honestly what we're going to end up getting. I'm going to take a guess on this. We'll obviously be doing a major reactions podcast next week about everything that happened this week and this weekend. If I had to guess, it should. I'm guessing a FaZe victory, but I could be totally wrong, and this could be in Simple's second major. As for the other news that has happened while we've been gone, We Play Academy League has expanded 4 more teams. So that would be OG Academy, 00 Prospects, Apex Rebels, and Godsent Academy. I think they're all called. Basically, 4 more teams to fight for the trophy. Hopefully, we get to see a lot more really good young players in there. That'll be a fun time. MIBR, after finishing their stint at the major, have benched Woody. They're bringing up Brazen from their academy team. Hobbit was accused late last week of match fixing by a Kazakh former pro in an article from Richard Lewis. It seems that it was spot fixing, which, if you're not super familiar with match fixing, full-on match fixing is when you say you're going to lose the match, similar to what Steel and all the other people in the iBuyPower era did. Spot fixing is saying that you're gonna get the first kill in a round, or you're gonna drop this gun or something like that. We talked about spot fixing somewhat recently, with Navi buying the M249 and throwing it on the ground, that kind of betting. So apparently there's been something about that. Hobbit has come out and said that he has never spot fixed, he's never match fixed, that he's going to be in full cooperation with our favorite people over at ESIC on the matter, and that hopefully everything will be cleared up quickly. Last thing to talk about in our extremely quick episode today is Twisted interview with Ryan from Dust2 Media, Dust2 US, Dust2 Media. Ryan, you've seen him on the show before. Did an interview with Ryan, and the big thing to come out of it, there's actually a lot of really cool stuff to come out of it, but the important, big, controversial thing to come out of it was the Valorant stuff that came from it, where Twist said, the question was, so you're obviously more experienced, you're an older NA player the region could look up to. Obviously, the region has been pretty decimated by Valorant and other things. What are your current thoughts on NA? And Twist's response was, this will come as no surprise, but the current region is visible. I mean, we saw so many new players moving to Valorant because they just want the easy money. They see a new game and they see everyone's trying to get into it, and it's easy money. I think the switch is for the money, and the work ethic wasn't there in CS to become better. And a lot of people on Twitter have gone both ways about this. Obviously, the Valorant community has gone, no. Some of the Counter-Strike community has agreed with the Valorant community. They've kind of gone, yeah, that's not why at all. Some of the Counter-Strike community, YNK specifically, has been very has kind of sided with Twists to a degree. Elliot and I have talked about this very briefly, but end of the day, this is one of those weird things that both parties are kind of right. The Switch was definitely partially for the money. Like, I'd be willing to bet that on any person, but you switch for the money so you can pay your bills. Like, tier 2 North American Counter-Strike was so absolutely fucked, and is still so fucked, that if you could switch to a new game that will help you pay your monthly bills, that even if it's not your favorite, it's a job, and a job is a job right now, right? And maybe you keep playing Counter-Strike on the side, maybe you keep trying to do it, but Valorant helps pay your electricity bill. It helps buy food. So, and you couldn't do that in Counter-Strike. So, well, yeah, it's getting easy money. It's the ability to continue to play video games for your living. We'll talk more about all of this stuff next week on the podcast when Elliot returns from Antwerp. But until then, my name has been Logan Ramhap. This has been Overtime on Inferno. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Logan Ramhap, at AZS, and at RetealDR. We'll be back again next week with our major special.